Hi, Catherine Rhodes here, HR Management or Management 203. Going to talk about Chapter 5, Training and Developing Employees. In Chapter 5, we're going to describe the basic training process, discuss at least 2 techniques used for assessing training needs, explain the pros and cons of at least 5 training techniques, explain what management development is and why it's important, and describe the main development techniques. So one of the issues that we have when we have new employees is we need to orient them or onboard. It depends upon what terminology your company has, but you want to give them basic information so that they can do a good job. The Mayo Clinic orients employees according to the history, values, and culture, but it also talks about history, work environment, teamwork, and personal responsibility, innovation, integrity, diversity, customer service, and mutual respect. So why do we want to orient them? We want to make sure that they understand what their benefits are, what the policies are, what the employee's daily routine will be like, company organization and operations, and safety measures and regulations. New employees should be made to feel welcome, to understand the organization, be clear about expectations of work and behavior, and to begin the process of socialization or getting to know others. Well, training can be used for new or present employees to gain skills needed to perform their jobs. It can also be called workplace learning or performance. So how do you determine what needs to be done? Well, you need to do a needs analysis, you need to look at instructional design, you need to implement, and then you need to evaluate. So the first thing you need to do is to determine what training if it's needed. And that's called gapping the skills or skills gapping. Determine the skills each job requires and then where the current or prospective employees are in that. You may also want to do a task analysis, which is a detailed study of the job. Or you also want to look at performance analysis, where there's a performance deficiency, and determine whether that can be rectified through training. And sometimes we distinguish that as between the can't do and won't do. Can't do means that you can train. Won't do means they just aren't going to do that. So we can identify training needs based upon 360-degree performance reviews, job-related performance data, observation by supervisors or other specialists, interviews with the employee and his or her supervisor. You can test for job knowledge, skills, and attendance. You can also conduct attitude surveys, or you can use assessment surveys. So you want to make sure that the people that you have on board, the knowledge, skills, and behavior enable them to do their jobs, or they're competent. So the book talks about on Figure 5.2 what the competency model is for an HR manager. And as you can see, there's a variety of different skills that are needed, including areas of expertise, foundation competencies, and then roles that the person may actually have. So we got to set training objectives, and that's the performance that you want learners to be able to exhibit. And there are a variety of different training techniques. On-the-job training, which is very popular with hourly type in trainee, and most of us have probably gone through that when we learned on the job what we needed to do and somebody showed us how to maybe operate a cash register. Informal learning, where we just kind of hang around and get the opportunity to ask questions. There can be apprenticeship training, which is very formalized, and I've worked with a couple of different organizations in putting together apprenticeship training programs, specifically in maintenance, electronic, mechanical, and I also help put together a tool and die apprenticeship program. There can be behavior modeling, which is having a supervisor who tells you how you need to act and shows you how to do that. You can have audio-visual or traditional distance learning techniques, such as what we're doing. Computer-based training, where you have computer simulations, DVD, simulated learning, learning portals, or mobile training. So what about on-the-job training? Well, coaching or understudy or job rotation, where you move from one job to another so that you get to learn that. In the workplace, about 80% of learning by employees is by performing their jobs on a daily basis, collaborating with others, and by getting information from others. As I said, apprenticeship training is structured process where skilled level labor employees receive classroom instruction and on-the-job training. Typically, there's a master craftsman, master electrician, who usually already holds that card by the Department of Labor, Bureau of Apprenticeship and Training. And when I set up these programs in the past, I worked with Pellissippi State because they have some specific mechanical and electrical type programs, and I also worked with the TTC at Athens because I was working in Monroe County at the time in helping to put together some of that classroom training, and then they did their on-the-job training at the workplace. Apprenticeship training can be very difficult and very time-consuming. Usually it's a 2 to 4 year program to where it takes that person that length of time to get to where they need to be. Talked a little bit about behavior modeling, which is involved showing trainees the right way to do things. I've done some of that training called Zinger-Miller or Global Achievement Training, where we talked about how to give constructive feedback to individuals, and we also gave them an opportunity to practice it in a safe setting. So with behavior modeling, you have the modeling the behavior, sometimes done by video, the role playing, where the opportunity comes along where you get to do that, social reinforcement, where you reinforce good behavior, and then they transfer the training. Also set up what's a vestibule training. Vestibule training means that it's done off the job, but they receive their training while they're at the job, but not actually doing that. Flight simulators is a good example of that, where pilots will learn in a simulator rather than taking a big jet up to see what's going on. We did that with some training on a line one time. We had some older equipment and we put that on there so we could teach employees how to do things right and what the safety issues were. You can do video conferencing or internet-based class, DVDs, films, closed-circuit TV. Any of you that have had the interactive classroom, that's what that is. Video conferencing, which is joining 2 or more distance groups, which is in our interactive classroom, where you join them together. You can do computer-based training, where you plug in a CD or go to the web and try to do that. There are simulated reality type games that you can do, which is which can be very helpful. Or software training that includes screenshots and then tells you what to do next, and if you make a mistake you go back and pick it up again. And then of course we're getting now into mobile learning, where some of you may be even watching this video on an iPad or on a laptop or even on a phone. And it's called on-demand learning, where you can go back and take a look at it. Capital One Bank purchased iPods for trainees so that they could listen to lectures, and there's an audio learning site, and you can download information and put it on your iPod. You can actually download the video lecturettes that I'm doing and put them on your iPod, or you can put them on your iPad, because they are available in iTunes as well. There's the virtual classroom. Oh, there goes the lights. Let's turn them back on. There we go. You can actually use collaboration software for remote learners using PCs to participate in live audio or visual discussions. And I have done that with webinars, where you can actually type in questions, and you can watch videos and listen to individuals as they're going through the PowerPoint. You can have training for special purposes, literacy training techniques, diversity training. I used to do diversity training, and talk about diversity and how it didn't matter what color the letters were, it all totaled up to be diversity, and so that we all had some similarities, but we also had differences. And training for teamwork and empowerment, and then lifelong learning. Then we come to managerial development. How do you develop people into being managers? Because that's not only knowledge, but it's attitudes and it's skill level. So there's a lot of things that can be done. You can rotate people, move them from management trainees from different departments so that they understand a large range of what the organization is about. You can have them coach, put them under a new manager, sort of like a mentor. You can have managers working on real projects so that they get that opportunity to analyze and solve problems. You can have them work on case studies where they diagnose problems and present findings and solutions. And then there are computerized management games or improvisations or outside seminars or in university-related programs such as MBA programs, or you can have executive coaches. So there's all sorts of things that you can do to kind of help develop managers. And when I was with TRW Koyo, we used to do management training sessions, and we would have 3 days in the beginning, and then we would mentor them with other managers, and then we would come back together in about 3 to 6 months and hold another 2-day session and talk about what they learned and kind of go into some more information on how to handle difficult situations. So there's a lot of things that you can do. You can have executive coaches so that they help because they're consultants, and sometimes we refer to those as life coaches to help individuals to have a better understanding of themselves as well as how they react on the workplace. And then there's Lewin's process for overcoming resistance. And they talk about unfreezing, reducing forces that are striving to maintain the status quo, moving, which is developing new behaviors, values, and attitudes, and then last, refreezing, building in the reinforcement to make sure that the organization doesn't slide back. Well, in organizational development, what you're trying to do is to move forward and change the process which employees react to problems. And a lot of times we have to have external assistance with that. There can be action research, gathering data about the organizations and its operations and attitudes, and then giving data back to the employees so that they can plan solutions. You can have survey feedback, sensitivity training, and team building. And when I worked for a division of Magna in Clinton, we did some team building with the management team and brought them together and went off-site and had some opportunity to work together in smaller groups and to tell one another, give each other positive feedback so that we had a real collaborative team where we felt comfortable sharing sensitive information with one another so that we could have a stronger organization. What's a learning organization? Well, it's an organization skilled at creating, acquiring, and transferring knowledge, and at modifying behavior for new knowledge and insights. And that's what a lot of companies back in the 90s and early 2000s wanted to be known as learning organizations, where they were constantly learning and reinventing themselves. Well, once you've done the training, how do you evaluate what's occurred? You can design an evaluation training, and then you want to look at the results. You can have a training group and a control group where you look at how the training group performs as opposed to the control group to see if there's a measurable difference. But you also want to look at the reaction, the learning, the behavior, and then the results. And a lot of times those results are bottom line. Are we producing more? Are we making more money? And or employees able to do the work in a shorter period of time? Hope you've enjoyed Chapter 5 on training employees. It's always an interesting topic. And I'll see you next time when we talk about Chapter 6, which is performance management and appraisal. Don't forget to complete your environmental scan and make sure you do those quizzes. Tick-tock, it's a fast-paced world we live in. Keep up. If you have questions, email me. I'm always available. Check email every morning. And if you have an immediate concern or something catastrophic happens, please call me on my cell phone or text me. Make sure you identify yourself or leave me a message, and I'll be back in touch with you. Take care, and I'll see you next time. Thanks. Bye.